Welcome to the hottest real estate topics on the planet, keeping you up to date with all the creative ways to buy and sell real estate without bank qualifying, so anyone can build real income starting today. Here is another great show with Dealmaker Bill and Pete the Rookie.
All right, here we are at another episode of Flipping Houses for Rookies.
Good morning, Bill.
This time I sat back away from
Bill,
the mic.
if you ever watch people on stage, when they're saying those big notes, they pull the mic about a foot away. Like when Tom Jones hits it, about a foot away.
See, your musical experience is paying off there.
I should have told you that 2 years ago, though.
Yeah. Episode number 132.
Yes, sir.
The title is, What People with Jobs Should Know About Real Estate Investing. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, which is most people with a job thinking, I need another job.
Right.
How could I do that and do this and you can't? And all right. Yeah.
So here's the description.
Yep.
And I want to apologize for my voice because I have something going on with my sinuses for like weeks now and I can't seem to shake it. So
Oh boy, yay.
I have like a dried throat. So here we go. One of your top goals to working should be to get the highest possible return on your investment of mental, emotional, and physical energy. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And this only matters if you have a crystal clear idea on what you expect the outcome to be. We making sense so far?
Surely.
Then the priorities of what you do become valueless or more valuable after each day.
Mm-hmm.
Right? After each day, week, or month.
Yeah.
Actually. Right? So until you're clear on what you want, you can't really evaluate, was it a good day or a bad day? Or was it a good week or a bad week?
Like George Harrison says, when you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there.
That's a good saying. I never heard that.
It's a song.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Yeah, we'll make that our theme song for the
mantra.
losers. Sorry, folks.
Soon you'll feel your job is like a low-value task because it causes you to be less and less happy about your activities. Once you hit this point of can't take it anymore, you will soon stop procrastinating what you really need to do and figure out how to replace your current income with a better and more reliable source of income. And in this podcast, we're going to talk about how to do that. So, we have covered in the last couple weeks the 80-20 rule. You want to give us a synopsis of that, like, quickly?
Sure. During your day, there's a lot of things you have to do, but if you really looked at it, only about 20% are the things that really matter and get you somewhere. The other stuff is the stuff you got to do. But at the end of the day, it doesn't change your life.
Right.
But it's hard not to do those because you got to go pick up the kids and, get my hair
I think
cut.
it's Palito, I forgot his name.
I know, so hard.
Yeah, an Italian guy. Came up with the idea in 1895 that 20% of the people in his city or his little town owned 80% of the real estate.
Yeah, my family was at 80% that didn't like them.
Yeah. So he went on to study that to find out that 20% of the people in the country own 80% of the wealth. And it keeps going. So it turns into all different kinds of examples. Like, for example, in marketing, 20% of your marketing efforts will produce 80% of your results.
Right.
20% of your activity will pursue, 20% of your clients will produce 80% of your income. And it just goes on and on.
Yeah, I think my son would say 20% of your day, get something done. The other 80% is water cooler, meetings, emails, stupid.
Right.
And not much gets done.
So Brian Tracy brought to my attention that your tasks are the same way. So 20% of the tasks you do will give you 80% of what you want. right? So that means if you have 10 tasks in a day, that means 2 or possibly 3 of them are going to get you closer with leaps and bounds of what you want.
Right.
Okay. So
I thought of a way to use that. So here's a suggestion. I haven't told you yet, but this is just something. I make a list of things to do for real estate, the other business, family, blah, blah, all the stuff I got to do. So do that. Make a list, but gee, some people don't even write down all the things you really think you should do today, but then circle in red the ones that are going to make the difference in your life. Circle those, highlight those.
Well, this
Stare at
podcast, we're
those.
actually kind of honing in on, the reason why I'm going over this is because, which by the way, we did a podcast on this a couple weeks ago, but I'm going to hone in on if you have a job, you can't afford to do the 80% stuff because it's not going to give you the results you want. So you have to concentrate on the 20% stuff.
In your spare time when you're not working.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Because the idea is that you can't quit your job until you have a dependable income to replace the income the job is producing.
Of course. Unless you're a crazy person.
Yeah, and some of us have done that. I mean, I have a few of those in my life right now that, I have one guy that quit like a $300,000 a year job to do real estate. Right? So there are some people that do that.
Yeah.
Okay. So the point is this. You don't want to leave your job until you can sustain a reliable, dependable income somewhere else.
Sure.
So what do you do to do that? And that's where you get in trouble, because one of the things that I've noticed recently is I've stumbled upon a very strange phenomenon in the real estate investor, I'm going to do it arena, and that's time blocking.
Yep.
So I started thinking to myself, why is time such a problem for all these people? Why is time management such an issue? And that's when I came up with the idea of this podcast, which is that's because they're really doing the wrong things. They think they're doing real estate, or they're doing the things that they like to do.
While they're doing it in the real estate?
Yeah. So in other words, they're trying to replace their income of the job with real estate investing. And then they go off and nobody's actually telling them the 20% things that they need to be doing to get enough income to replace their job.
Yeah.
So some people hit it hard and, in a month or two make 20 or 30 grand or 50 grand or whatever. And they get excited and they jump.
Yeah.
They fire the boss. Right?
Yeah.
Or sometimes people will go years, sometimes a year or two, doing things, thinking that they're being a real estate investor.
Yeah, well, we see that all the time. But that's how you and I got together. So I just came off a weekend seminar, right? Told the story before, and it was like I had a mountain of books, and I'm looking at it. Okay, let's get organized. I wrote them all down. Like I need an escrow account. I need the just all the things you think you need: LLC, LLP, da 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 da. I don't know, your bank account for what? I didn't have anything to put in the bank or talk to the LLC. There was not. So you said start here, and do that. So you actually focused me on the 20%, and I was actually green enough that I really wasn't busy doing the 80. I was just looking at it, like on a piece of paper, like this doesn't look right. Right. I mean, you told me to do blah blah. I don't know it was 20%. I just did the blah blah, and I called you 10, 15 days later, Bill. I got a house to look at. So you focused me on the 20, didn't you?
Yeah. So the point that you're making, that I don't know if you realize you're making, is
I'm making it.
That when you listen to somebody like me that has already done it, and they give you the 20%, and that 20% doesn't work, or it doesn't give you a return, you don't look at yourself and say, I wonder what I did wrong. I wonder what I don't understand. I wonder what I don't have figured out, and have faith in what I'm telling you, whether it's me or somebody else that has already done it.
Yeah.
Instead, you're like, oh, that doesn't work, and you go off and do something else.
Yeah, probably. Well, we know people who you tell them that a certain thing should be done a certain way, but they think, but wouldn't it be better if?
Right.
Well, how many houses have you bought?
Right.
So, why do people go to the library or the bookstore or Amazon and buy books by millionaires and read them?
Right.
Why do you read the Grant Cardones of the world or the Kiyosaki? Why? Because they got money and Ron LeGrand. So you're the local guy, so you know how to do this. So I didn't know any better. Actually, I might have had an advantage that I'm a fairly good student. If I read something or get instructions, I actually can follow them fairly close. I don't know if it's 100%, but it's close enough to be, on the money, not just, what the hell did you do? It's not what I said. I'm a teacher, so I know how that goes.
Right.
Do this. And you didn't do what I said.
Right.
So you have to actually understand the directions, get yourself out of the way, and try them before you make changes, right?
Or at least have enough common sense that if the result didn't come out the way that we talk about,
yeah,
you say to yourself, I wonder what I did wrong. I wonder what I don't understand. At least go back and look for it.
As a teacher, I'll have somebody read something, and you go, this isn't right. And, hold on. The guy wrote the book and got it published. Who do you think is smarter in the room right now?
Right.
You or the guy? So I have seen errors in books. I've seen them. I've gotten them corrected. But most of the time, they're okay. So read it again. Look up the words. Take your time. Now you got it right? Good. So just be careful with the data. If somebody is successful, Jesus, follow them.
We're off on a tangent right now, but that reminds me, Em, could you do something for me, please? Can you look up, I think the book is called The Power of Words. It's by Sean Clouden, Sean.
I stole yours.
Yeah, I don't have it anymore. Is
No,
that why?
I have. Yeah, I have it.
Oh, because I was looking for it the other day.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was reading some of that.
I think it's called, is it The Power of Words?
Yes, yes, it is.
Is that? Put that in the Facebook chat, please. Can you find it?
Mm-hmm.
It's $300 on Amazon.
It's $300 on Amazon. It's worth it. Anyways, let's continue because I didn't expect to do that.
Another version.
I didn't expect to do that for 11 minutes. All right.
Okay.
So we got that, right?
Yeah.
So what you need then is you need an approach on real estate investing that's intelligently put together.
Mm-hmm.
So a plan that has activity that will give you the outcome that you really want.
Yeah. God forbid.
So wait a second. I want to say something here because these words, the way I have them there, are not by accident.
Okay.
So a plan that has activity that will give you the outcome you really want. I didn't say activity you want to do.
No, the outcome that you really want. Okay.
So I didn't say the activity that you want to do because people hobby horse. They do things that they want to do.
Well, some things are
they
safe.
don't do things that they should do.
No, because they can be hard sometimes. But
and
too
they
bad.
don't confront them.
Yeah. Somebody
Okay.
said something really smart once that you get stuck on the things that you're not willing to put the effort in.
Right.
Like it hurts too much or something. Well, too bad.
Right.
If you want to be on top of the mountain, it's going to hurt to scrape up the hill a little bit. So scrape and shut up.
Sure.
And I'm talking to myself right now.
So a lot of folks miss this, Pete.
Yeah.
They often work on things that they like as opposed to what they really, really need to do to get the results they want. So in other words, they fall in love with the results, but not with the activity. Or they think the activity could be done a better way. Or it doesn't sit with them. I'll give you a classic example. And if you don't understand what I'm saying right now, then go to flippinghouses4rookies.com/free stuff and look at it there. Watch it there. But the hardest trouble I have is explaining to a student how to do a subject to deal, where the owner actually gives you the deed in your name,
Yeah.
and the loan stays in their name. And how many people say, "Oh, I would never do that," and right away they shut down the philosophy, the idea, or the presentation that they could give to an owner. Now I've been kind of flaunting because it's meetup week for us.
Yeah.
So I started in my meetup in 6 Degree Networking in Rocky Hill, which if you're in Connecticut, you should come join us. 6 Degree Business Networking in Rocky Hill, Connecticut. It's Wednesday morning, 7 a.m. Great group. Then we had the meetup the same day. And I had keys.
7 p.m.
Yeah, 7 p.m. Yeah. And you get the idea of my day?
Yeah. Yep.
So I had keys in my pocket, which I still have in my pocket, because a day or two ago I got the keys to a house. And so because the keys were in my pocket, it struck an idea out of my head. I was like flaunting the keys around saying, I got keys to a 2,500 square foot house, 4 bedrooms, 2 full bathrooms, doesn't have a garage, but a beautiful yard in a fantastic neighborhood that needs a couple rooms need paint. And the kitchen, when I say the kitchen's dated, you could probably replace a counter top and be done with it. Okay, but it's very livable. All right, it needs to be cleaned and stuff like that, but it's very livable. Okay, I put $400. In fact, it's not even $400. I looked at the bill this morning. It's like $386 of propane in the propane tank so they can turn the heat on.
Mm-hmm.
That's how much money I got into the deal. And I own the house. The deed is in my name. I need to go record it because I just got the keys, but the deed is in my name. And oh yeah, by the way, the owner is paying the next 2 mortgage payments while I go find my seller. I mean, find my buyer.
Mm-hmm. Of course. Well, why not?
So if a person has a problem with, I would never do that, then how are they going to get that deal?
No, they're in their own way.
Right?
Yeah.
So the philosophy didn't sink in. Because they had their own circuitry in their mind that was like a ping pong ball. I went in there, ding, 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 and it bounced around.
Yeah.
It didn't get to where it was supposed to go.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So you need to make sure that's not happening. Right? So we're so behind schedule. For a full rundown of how to handle your schedule, and what you should do, so if you're having trouble with time blocking, because we talked about it earlier, you should go to episode number 130. We called it Real Estate Investing Goals Are Usually for Losers. And we went through, not only did we go through scheduling and the 80-20 rule that we were just talking about, but we also went through some millionaire math stuff too.
Yep.
Like how many houses you have to buy for a certain amount of money so you can have $1 million.
Yep.
So it was a great episode.
How often, how long.
Yeah, it was a great episode. So today I don't want to talk about time blocking, although we spent the last 10 minutes doing that. We shouldn't have. Instead, I wanted to elaborate more on the 80-20 rule that we were just talking about, right? And I want to talk about the things you should be doing, which we already did, okay? So the first thing I want to talk about is, let me see here. You need to make up your mind. That's like the first thing. I want you to make up your mind about the first thing, which is really hard for investors. Because how many meetups and how many meetings have we went to when you say, what do you do? Oh, I'm a wholesaler. Or I'm this, or I'm that. I'm a flipper. It's usually wholesale and flipper. Those are the two famous ones.
Yeah.
Right? What I would like you to do is make up your mind that you could be a pretty house specialist. You can stay in the pretty house business and make a lot more money than the flipping business. First of all, there's more of them. Second of all, when you're in the pretty house business, you're actually going to become a creative financing specialist, which is not, it sounds fancier than what it really is. And you're going to deal with terms. But more importantly, when you look at the 80-20 rule, like let's take a look at you this past year, right?
Yeah.
In 2018.
Yep.
80% of your time you spent doing rehabs.
Yeah.
80% of the time.
Seems like 100.
Right?
Yeah.
And it reduced your ability to do more deals and make more money. So suppose you do a rehab and you make 30 grand. Well, we made 40 grand. We made 40 grand on the last one we did.
Yeah.
Okay. So we make 40 grand. But the truth is how long did it take you to do that? So if you could do that once a month, then we wouldn't be talking like this. But the fact that it takes 6, 8, 10, 11 months, 12 months, whatever, right? And sometimes they do. Sometimes it's the rehab portion. Sometimes it's all done and you need the sales portion. Sometimes you sell it and you need a buyer to like catch up to you. And that takes 3 months. I mean, there's all different reasons why it would take that long.
Yep.
Now, on a vast majority, you should be able to do a rehab between 3 and 7 months.
Yeah.
That's normal. Okay.
Yeah.
So depending on, the market and all that stuff, which by the way, I want to bring up a very valuable point that is 1000% cocky, arrogant, and pompous. Okay.
Don't hold back, Bill.
Yeah. So the point that I want to make here is I know personally a lot of investors that are really dumb as a stump, and the economy made them wealthy.
Oh.
The market made them wealthy, and they don't know that.
When things are easy?
When things are good and easy, because they had the ability to put some money together, they have the ability to do a rehab, and the market gave them their ride. they think they're smart. They think they're a clever investor. Until the market changes, which it always does, what happens then? Right? So, thus, by the way, I was one of those dummies when I started. Okay? Those dumbasses when I started. And that's what made me start realizing that terms deals and pretty house deals actually do better in that economy. Because people need some place to live. I mean, when things get bad and foreclosures happening and they things happen.
Yeah.
You can buy them better and you can sell them better. Right? So it opens the door to a lot more business. The best part is you don't have to spend time doing that 80% stuff, doing all the renovations and all the crap that goes along with it, and you can concentrate on the 20%, which what we're going to talk about today, which is finding leads and talking to customers. Right?
You know what I like about it more, though? When you do a rehab, it's nice to have a fat check, but it takes a long time to get it. It's really spike. It spikes up and it spikes down, and you have a high, you have a big low. With the terms deals, they're easier to do. There's less money involved, and you wind up getting money from them.
Right.
You wind up getting cash flow from them, and then down the road, through 2 years, 5 years, 7 years, you got a more money coming in. So if you do this, you have like a stream of money coming in.
So it's money now.
It's like
money monthly, money later. Where rehab, it's just money now.
A chunk here, a chunk there. So it's like having a job in the sense of there's money coming in. There's a flow coming in. And then, hey, look, there's a big chunk coming next year or next month or in 5 years.
And when you fill the pipeline, you have rewards.
Yeah, filling the pipeline. So it's do one, do another one, do another one.
So I advocate very much start with pretty houses. It's easier to learn. It's easier to do. I mean, heck, we sell my how to buy real estate without a loan course for $500, which is going to change pretty soon because we're printing it now. But it's $500. So right now you can replace your job with a $500 investment.
Yeah. Somebody made a comment last night. One of the people at the meetup, a couple was there, and they're saying, "Well, how do we get the money to do all this?" And one of your clients, Dave, walked up and said, "Well, what you do is
$500,
huh?
You need $500."
Yeah, well, yeah, 500 for that, and then a little this for that. But the point was like, when you get your first deal, even if it's a deposit of like 5 or 10,000, now you got some seed money. You got $5,000. Now you got something to do more now.
Right.
So that's not going to cost for $1,000. You can make 5 or 10,000. And then that will make you another 10 or 20. So you bootstrap your way along.
Good. So the first thing we're asking you to do is make your decision on you should investigate or look at the pretty house business. And then as you go along, you'll start to do ugly houses once you get more experience under your belt and you get some capital behind you, and it attracts more once you have more certainty or confidence.
Right.
Okay. So the next thing I want to talk about is there are many, 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 many folks out there who make a mediocre living in the flipping houses business doing the 80% stuff. They just make a mediocre. Like you just said a few minutes ago, if you graph your income, there's peaks and valleys.
Oh, yeah.
Right? That's making a mediocre income.
Yeah.
Right? But we're not here to talk about mediocre. We're talking about replacing your job. We're talking about consistency, reliability. We're talking about all that, right? So we need to get you into replacing your income. That's what we're here doing today, right?
Right.
So we need to cut cut to the chase, right? And do what's going to get us the biggest return on our investment. We have to tuck in our chin, whether we like it or not, and we need to do it. Otherwise, keep working your job. Don't come to me and whine and say you can't fire your boss. Because if you're not willing to do what we're going to talk about, which some of it we're talking about already, but if you're not willing to do it, then just don't whine. Just don't come tell me it doesn't work or it doesn't this or it doesn't that, because it's you. Okay, so look in the mirror and tell yourself, I am going to jump through my shadow a few times to make this work, but the rewards when you do that are phenomenal. They're phenomenal, right? So the number one thing or action step that you should do or you can do is making closing calls. So why don't you give me your rendition of what a closing call is?
Closing or opening?
Yeah, a closing call.
Closing call? Well, that's when you have a lead and you call back and you do a basic rundown of, do they have a pretty house? It's not like a disaster that needs a lot of renovating. And are they willing to do time payments, terms?
Right.
If they're willing to do terms, then you get some at least ballpark of what they might accept for a low payment or a low price on the house. So make sure it's close enough that's worth going out to see the house, getting in the house, and working all the details out. You can always change when you're in the house if things are different. But you want to get close enough on the phone, you're not wasting your time.
So I'm going to refine what you just said.
I'm sure you can.
Okay. So a closing call is talking deal structure.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's preparing them for a deal structure.
Yeah.
So if I say to somebody on the call, and I don't use these words, but if I say to somebody on the call, are you willing to let the deed stay in your name while I take over the loan? I'll explain it to you when I come out, but are you willing to listen to me?
Yeah.
Right? Now, Brian and Lynette Wolf do it much different. They supposedly close people on the phone and then just go out and do a deal meeting and get paperwork. I've not experienced that, although I'm sure it could be done. What happens in that scenario is they have a sweatshop that makes phone calls, and if you make enough phone calls, you will find a low-hanging fruit, motivated seller that will come out and say, "Yeah, I'll do whatever you want. Just come out."
Yeah.
And that can happen. You know, I don't do that. I make less phone calls, and I deal more with because there's prospects, suspects, and deliberators. You know, deliberator is somebody that thinks about it and needs work on it, and I'm good with those because I have sales skills. I can do well with those and convert those, so I talk to less people. So you make your decision. Talk to a shit ton of people and find the low-hanging fruit, or talk to less people and have more skills in the house to be able to handle the objection, stalls, and resistance. Okay? But I will tell you this. If you want to choose where you end up in life, this is the most important decision you could make, is doing closing calls. So there's a lot of things that work up to a closing call. There's, like we text people, we do for sale by owner calls, we have signs, we do yellow letters, we do business cards on cars, we do Craigslist ads. So there's a multiple stream of outflow that either gets them to call you or gets them to the point where they talk to you. The more you can automate all of that stuff, the less noise, the less of the 80% that you're going to do. So a 20% action is having all that stuff weed out all the suspects or potential suspects and get you on the phone with a prospect doing a closing call. That by far is the most important thing that you can do to get income consistently in the door. No questions at all. And when I mean a closing call, to me, it's filling out the prospect-suspect form, getting the mortgage information, getting the loan-to-value ratio, finding out where their willingness, what they're willing to do is, how motivated they are, if the math of the house works. That's a closing call. And then deciding, like you said, to go out and actually make an appointment to look at the house.
Yep.
Because you've decided that the seller is qualified for one of your programs, which is one of the 7 deal structures.
Yeah, they're at least willing.
They're willing to listen.
Yeah. Then you have to go see if the house is willing.
Right. So talking to sellers about how you can help them and give them solutions to rid themselves of a house is probably the most important thing that you can do in your career. Right. So that could be now. I talk a lot about about pre-qualifying on the phone, and what I realize is a lot of new guys are trying to do what I do, and I please don't do that. Please don't do that. The reason why is in the beginning, the best thing, I pre-screen and I try to select who I'm going to see and how I'm going to see it because of my schedule, right? But don't do that in the beginning. In the beginning, just go see everybody until you get it figured out. Just go make offers, even if they're suspects. I mean, unless they're dead like a suspect, they're trying to get $300,000 for a $200,000, $250,000 house, and they're like, I need all cash and bring it in a wheelbarrow. If they're that obvious of a suspect, then don't do that. But if you think they're relatively close, or you think that there's a potential, just go visit them, because that's how you're going to learn. That's you want to go hire a coach for $30,000 or $40,000 a year or $50,000 a year. I'm going to tell you right now, I would gladly take your money. I will gladly take your money, but I'll tell you how to do it for free. And I'm not even joking.
Mm-hmm.
Go sit in somebody's house and record yourself. Whether you tell them you're recording or not, doesn't matter, because only you're listening to it. Record yourself talking to that seller. That's the best damn seminar and the best coaching you could get in your life. Just record yourself. And then go listen to yourself talk. You'll fix it.
Mm-hmm.
You'll know what you need help with. So now when you go looking for training, or you're looking for a coach or a mentor, you know exactly where your weaknesses are. Agreed?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so next. I don't think this is right. Yeah, I guess. All right. If you spent 1 to 2 hours a week making closing calls, get it?
Mm-hmm.
1 to 2 hours a week. Now, I'm not saying, how many hours a week did I say?
1 to 2
hours a week making closing calls. You're devoting the most productive time for your future returns ever. If you devote 1 to 2 hours a week to talking to sellers, trying to make an appointment to go in their house, what we call a closing call.
Mm-hmm.
That's the most productive time you could make for your future returns.
Right.
You're smiling.
I'm only smiling because you can't start there.
No.
You have to get to the closing call through those pathways you mentioned before. But it is true. You should actually be focusing on, like if you're a barber, you're thinking like, whose hair can I cut? Yeah, it's not like, should I paint the pole again, or should I sweep the sidewalk? Whose hair can I cut? So you can go outside, you can sweep the sidewalk, you can paint the pole again, you can sweep the floor, or you can walk outside and say, "Hey, you want a haircut?" So
we're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
But here is my philosophy on this.
Mm-hmm.
I want to lose 50 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Is that we talked about this in Goals Are for Losers. Pick goals that you can actually do. I want to lose 50 pounds. Okay,
Yeah.
So that's a great goal. That's a wish list. That's a goal for a loser right there. What you should do is say, I want to lose 50 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
What I can make a goal is I'm going to spend 2 days a week in the gym for a half an hour.
Mm-hmm.
That's a doable goal. I can stop eating carbs. That's a doable goal.
Something you can do today, now.
I can change my grocery list so I don't have potato chips in the house. That's a doable target.
Yeah.
This making calls 1 to 2 hours a week is one of those doable targets. It's one of those targets where you can do something right now.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm going to talk about this in a little while, but if you don't have somebody to talk to, then you need to work on your marketing.
Yeah.
Which is what you're talking about.
Yeah. You can find opening calls easily because there's for sale by owners, on the internet and services you can buy them from and all that. But I don't know of any place that,
If the goal is to have 1 to 2 hours a week, if that's your goal, to have 1 or 2 hours a week doing closing calls, you will figure out the minutia to get there. That's what my point is.
And to focus you on what you really want to head at, not just while making calls. I mean, you might have 10 names in front of you and go like, oh, geez, this one looks way better.
Right.
Just call that one first.
Right. The object is to make closing calls where you're doing deal structuring. You're pre-qualifying the visit.
Yeah.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Next, you're going to do I got to rest for a second. Sorry. I got to get my mind is racing. If you're going to do pretty house deals, right? You made up your mind that you're going to do pretty house deals. You need to know what the 20% activities are.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Sure.
You want to get from the conversation at the closing call to where you're going to do a deal.
Mm-hmm.
So in other words, I'm telling you, get on the phone and do closing call conversation, right? So now you need to figure out what's the 20% of the closing call?
Oh, the closing call?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
So in other words, 20% of the closing calls you do are going to reward you in 80% of your deals. I'm just breaking it down. It's like the 20% of the 20%. You okay?
Yeah. No, you're breaking my head now.
Am I clear on what I'm saying, though?
Well, I would need examples, but I can imagine that, because on the call, if you looked at it, there's some things you just do and make nice, or some rapport and all that, and getting some details, which you still need to do. But
right. So what I'm saying is that 20% of your activity gives you 80% of your income.
Right.
So one of the things I'm telling you is the 20%. One of the most valuable things is talking to closers on the phone 1 to 2 hours a week.
Yeah.
That is a 20% thing that will give you 80% return.
Well, I got that part. Now you're getting in the closing
So now
script.
what
You
I'm
got
doing-
20% of that
so
is
now
really,
what I'm
really good.
Now what I'm talking about is in that 20%, so 20% of your activity gives you 80%. In that 20%, what's the 80-20 rule on that 20%?
Yeah, what is it?
Good. There you go. So you're with me.
Yeah, yeah.
Here we go. There's 4 things you need to know.
Okay.
Okay. If you master these 4 things, and really only need 3, I put the 4th one in there because some of you don't believe me.
Mm-hmm.
So I put one in there just so you would believe me. But I promise you, number 4, I don't do.
Just put it in parentheses.
Yeah.
1.
Figure out the purchase price the seller's willing to sell you. Figure out what their internal price is.
Mm-hmm.
What are they willing to sell to you for? What's their lowest offer?
Yeah.
What are they willing to accept? What's their bottom number?
Mm-hmm.
What's the cheapest amount they're going to go?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean this is like some, oh, Pete, let me make a shit ton of money off of you because I'm a slick salesman.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm talking about you. When you put your house on the market and you decided to sell, you were like consciously or subconsciously saying to yourself, I'm not going to do anything less than this.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I was listening to a Dan Kennedy tape the other day, and he did a great job with preconceived ideas. Right? In other words, predetermined ideas.
Yeah.
Right? And he was talking about casinos. Casinos have mastered this. Because people go to a casino and they're like, I'm not going to lose any more than $200. They made up their mind before they even left the casino that they were going to go to the casino and lose $200.
Yeah.
Okay. Now here's the interesting thing: is
what do the casinos do? How they take advantage
they
of that?
know that because they know that people think that.
Yeah.
So they give them perks to bring them so that they can make up their mind that they're going to lose $200. Because here's what happens: how many times have you been in a casino? A few times, right?
Surely.
You go in the casino and you're like, I'm up $1,000.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you made up your mind that you're going to leave when you lose $200. So you're going to keep playing.
Oh, until you lose 200, then
until you lose $200.
I play different.
Okay. Well, a vast majority of people do.
Oh, I know. I watch my friend up, 0.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So when somebody sells a house, it's much similar to that.
Yeah.
It's like they have a preconceived, a predetermined idea of what they want, consciously or subconsciously.
Right.
All I want to do is pay off my mortgage and get $5,000.
Mm-hmm.
All I want to do is. Right?
Yeah, I need the money for such and such.
Yeah, I need $10,000 to pay off my daughter's student loan.
Yep.
Which, by the way, when you figure out what that thing is, you buy a house.
Yeah. So if I give you $10,000, will you sell me the house?
If I give you $10,000 and walk away, will you sell me the house?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay? So figuring out the price is not hard, but it's one of those key things you got to be good at. What is their internal price? How much are they willing to sell to you for?
Mm-hmm.
Once you figure that out, now you got to figure out what are they willing to let you pay per month for the house.
Yeah.
Because we're doing pretty houses and they're terms deals.
Right. They're
So
payments.
figure out what they're willing to let you pay per month until you can pay them off. Right?
Yep.
Which brings us to
To the
number
3,
3, which is how long will they give you? What's the term?
Yeah.
Before they actually want to get paid off.
Yep. How 2 years, 5, 7, 10?
So here's my points. You can't be blunt. In other words, I can't be at a party, right? and see this beautiful blonde that completely turns me on and walk up to her and say, "Hi, my name is Bill. You want to sleep together?" What's going to happen?
Slap in the face.
Yeah, unless she's a slut, then it's a different story. But we're not talking about those, right? But the point is,
You sound like you know.
yeah. The point is we're not getting there, Pete. We're staying on topic today. The point is that
Just following you, Bill.
is will she sleep with me?
Mm-hmm.
That's the question. Will she go to bed with me?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And my answer is yes. What did I do wrong? It was the timing of when I asked her to sleep with me.
Mm-hmm.
Now, had I went up to her and said, "Hey, I noticed that you came in a Lamborghini. Do you like Lamborghinis?" "Oh, yeah, I have blah, 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 blah. Son of a gun, my friend has 20 of them in a garage."
You want to go see him?
Yeah. Or there's a Lamborghini show down the street. Would you like to go with me?
Or I'm a mechanic. I'm really good at fixing them. If you ever need any help, call me.
You understand? So in other words, she likes Lamborghinis,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Stupid example, but she likes Lamborghinis, right?
Red sports car. Girl. This is good.
Blonde.
Yeah. It's like a commercial on TV.
Totally chauvinistic.
Buy my donuts.
We're gonna get support emails on
Buy
this one.
my donuts.
So she likes Lamborghinis. So you build some affinity with her, not like pretend, not like like you're acting,
Yeah.
right? Real,
No, not phony.
like true. Yeah, not phony.
Yeah.
True
You really
affinity.
do like, you don't say I like Lamborghinis when you hate them.
You really have a connection.
Yeah.
At some point in that relationship, if I say to her, "Will you sleep with me?" she'll say yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's the same thing with a house. I mean, it's such a crude way of saying it. It's chauvinistic. But I'm sorry, I don't know any other way to explain it that clear. Okay, we'll work on that. The point that I'm trying to make here is that if you ask the right questions at the right time, then you do this. So in final, before we move on, the thing that I'm trying to tell you is if you do these three things, you'll buy houses.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the 20% of the 20%.
Yeah, those are the key issues.
So when you figure those out, your time could be no better spent. So maybe this is done on the phone call on the opening call. Maybe this is done on the opening call.
Oh.
Maybe this is done on the closing call.
Yeah.
Maybe this is done in the house. Maybe this is days after you looked at the house. Like I have a house I'm working on right now. I know I'm going to buy the house. House is in Hampton. I know I'm going to buy the house. I sent her an email, sent her this, sent her that. I'm positive. She was married. She's actually older than I thought she was. She's married. She was married when she was a teenager for 2 years. Now I think she's in her mid-50s. She went to a funeral some couple years ago and met somebody she went to high school with, and now they're an item. Huh. But he's in New Jersey. She's here. She just got a severance package and is retiring from a manufacturing plant. What do you think she's got on her mind?
I got to sell the house and go down to New Jersey with my new beau.
There you go. He proposed to her.
Flame.
He proposed to her. They're getting married.
Woo!
So February is when things come to a head. So I'm just kind of like laid back, got my feet up on the table, smoking my cigar, saying, "I'll get you." She's asking the right questions. She's asking the right things. I'm not. Why try to close her today? What's the difference? I'll lose the deal. The timing's off.
Oh. So
Point is I know these three things. I know how much she's willing to sell for, how much she's willing to take for payments, and I know how much time she'll give me. I know those three things.
In that sequence too, correct?
Yep.
Now, you telling me that you're in the house, you do the whole thing, and you didn't cover those?
Yeah, I covered those.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't close her, though.
Okay, I got you.
Because she had a realtor, she's got it listed, somebody's coming to look at it, I want to see if I get a cash offer, right? There's no sense in trying to twist her arm because it's just,
no, I thought you weren't even doing that part, but you do that part.
No, I know all these three things.
Okay. I thought you weren't even doing that. That's different. But okay, you're just waiting for the actual close.
Number 4, which I will tell you, but I'm telling you up front that even though I'm telling you this, I'm telling you should do this, I'm telling you should be aware of this, I'm also telling you, do as I say, not as I do. Actually, no. Do as I do, not as I say.
Yeah. Which is zip it.
Yeah. So the last thing is to find out how much they're willing to take for a down payment or option deposit money.
Yeah.
Now, I don't tell them. I don't ask that question because if you ask somebody how much will you take for a down payment, what are they going to give you? They're gonna give you
20%.
an out the ass number. They're just going to pick a number and it's going to fly out, and there you go. And you're stuck with it now because now they got to be right.
Yeah.
So there's no sense in going there. I tell them what I'm willing to do. If I did a really good job on 1, 2, and 3, and I helped, and I did it with the right timing, and I helped them with their solution, and they know that I'm sincere and I'm confident and that I can handle this transaction, the down payment is irrelevant. I'm going to tell you the only reason why somebody asks for a down payment. They don't trust you. And it's their confidence, their conservatism showing through that they want confidence. It's a conservative thing to do.
Isn't there a time when they need money to move or, something like that?
That's fine. That's fine. I'm just
I don't
saying
mean like, big, a few thousand, not a big deposit.
But that's not a deposit to me. That's solving their problem.
Okay, I got you.
Right? So when somebody says, I'll finance you, but I need, this is a funny one. Everybody does this. My house is free and clear. It's worth $300,000. I'm willing to let you take payments if you give me $150,000 down. They want half. They always go for half because they want confidence, because they're willing to risk half the money, but they want the other part.
Yeah.
Okay. So my standard answer to something like that is, why would I give you half when I can go to the bank and give them 5%, 10%, or 20%?
Yeah.
What makes your money so important that you need to have 50% down for security?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And by the way, not only did they have 50% down for security, they had the house as collateral.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like everything swings in their name. That's just somebody that is A, not interested in selling, or B, you haven't done a good job of building affinity and confidence. Your offer is not backed by confidence.
Yep.
Okay. So you need to fix that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Once these numbers, figuring out how much the purchase price is, figuring out what the monthly payment is, and figuring out what the term is, now what you do is you plug it into one of the 7 offers, which walks you into how you're going to structure the deal.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you've not heard what my 7 offers are, the 7 different offers that we make, go to flippinghousesforrookies.com / free stuff, and they're at the bottom of the page. There's 8 videos there that can show you exactly what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, we've done all that. So here's what we've done. We have done a good job between the opening call, the closing call, and between the marketing, the closing call, and actually getting the 3 or 4 questions answered.
Mm-hmm.
We've done a good job with that.
Mm-hmm.
So at this particular point, or this stage of the game, you will have extracted exactly what the seller is willing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You've plugged it into one of the 7 offers. Right?
Right.
You have an idea of how you can move forward.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You're still not done, but there's no better way to replace your income and fire your boss than knowing that stuff.
Mm.
Am I wrong?
Oh, hell no.
I'm on a rant this morning. Have you noticed?
No, it's a pretty nice one though. You're pretty calm.
Okay. Here's the next step. So now you got the other side of the table has presented their case.
Yeah.
Right? In other words, the opponent, if you would. I don't like to call it that, but the other side of the table has presented their case. You have all that data. What do you need to do now? You need to decide yourself, do I want this deal?
Mm.
I'll give you an example. This house I'm talking about that I'm in Hamden, one of the reasons why I'm not pushing it is because it's a $299,000 house. She wants to sell for $325,000, but she knows that $299,000 is the right number. I'm sorry. It's a $199,000 house. She wants to sell for she tried to sell for $235,000.
Okay.
And she's reduced and she's down to $199,000. But she's having trouble going lower than $199,000. I did the cost to sell with her, got her down to, it's at least $180,000 or $185,000. So if I pay the $180,000 or $185,000, I'm paying full price, right?
Sure.
And got her agreement on that. So that's part of figuring out the price.
Right. Oh, of course.
Right?
Of course.
Okay? There's the cost to sell worksheet is figuring out what she's willing to sell for.
Mm-hmm.
So I got her to that point. Next thing that happens is, so I'm going to pay $180,000, $185,000. I'd be willing to pay $190,000. I already decided. Skinny deal. The trouble is when I get to the payment, she's paying $1,750 a month on a $130,000 mortgage, and I ask her why, and I don't even ask her why. It's a rhetorical question. So I say to her, "You're paying $1,750 a month, PITA, principal, interest, and insurance, all loaded up."
Yeah.
I said, "You're paying $1,750. What do you have, a 15-year mortgage?" She goes, "Yeah."
That's what I thought.
So now, this deal, I've only got supposedly I have a $15,000 back end. And how much am I going to make for monthly payments? Okay, so what I'm telling you is that I've pre-screened her. I've done a good job with her. I've got her at a point where she's considering doing a deal with me. Now I have to look at, do I want to do this deal? So that's where the famous money now, money monthly, money later comes in. So you have to look at it for yourself. That's how you're going to evaluate, either convince yourself or unconvince yourself to do this deal. So you have to decide what's the money now. So let's go through this deal I'm talking about. So $199. I know I can sell hands down without even a thought about it for $219. Question is, will I push it to $229 or $225? Probably. Okay. House is beautiful. I don't have to do nothing to it. I got to clean it. That's it.
Nice.
Okay. Great neighborhood. All this stuff, okay? So I'm looking at the money now, money monthly, money later. So if I sell for, say, $219 and I pay $180, how much is that? $40,000, right? That's my money later. So now when I look at money now, I'm going to excel some of that money later into a deposit.
That's right.
So I think I can get $10,000. So I'll make $10,000 now, $30,000 later.
Right.
So now what I'm struggling with in my head is okay, what am I going to do for the money monthly?
Yeah, that's tight on a rental.
Right? Because now I got to get $1,900 on a $200,000 house, which
is
hard.
Any chance somebody in that position would refinance to 30 years just to take that payment down? Or 20, or just something to take the payment down?
Yeah, that's possible. But one of the things we talked about when I'm working on her with her right now, which happens quite a bit lately. I don't know what I'm doing to create this. I have to really evaluate this. But when I propose to them a subject to deal or a lease option. Which one do you want to do?
Right.
And I explained to them the difference is, and they always ask what the difference is. The difference is on a subject to deal, the deed goes in my name. They're fully relieved of all the liability. They can't get sued. The water company's not going to chase them. The tax man's not going to chase them. If somebody trips and falls, they're not going to have a lawsuit. I'm completely responsible for the house because the deed is in my name. If we do a lease, if I lease from them, then all of that liability is on them.
You might have said that before, but I don't remember being so clear. Like as a benefit, all those things, when you have the deed, that they're relieved of all that.
Right.
That's a real benefit that I didn't have in my wheelhouse in my head.
Right.
That was very clear. That was important what you just said.
Right.
To explain this to people.
So I'm in that process with her right now. Okay. So when I'm thinking back in the cobwebs, okay, in the mind.
Well, which do you want? Do you want the subject to?
So listen to me. So what I'm thinking is, normally I want the subject to deal, but in this particular case, I'm thinking if she goes with the lease option, I can tell her I only want to pay $1,500 a month. And get her to eat $250 a month.
Yep.
For a year or two, anyways. Okay. Now, one of the ways that I will absorb that is if you do $250 a month, that's $3,000, right?
Right.
Is it possible for me to give her $6,000 down for down payment for the first 2 years and take, so she's actually getting the $250 if I give her down payment money?
Right, and of course you get that from the buyer.
And then I'll get more money from the buyer. I'll get $10,000, $12,000 from the buyer and just take less down payment. It's kind of like a little bit of a mental masturbation, like you get it now, you get it later, that kind of thing. But
couldn't you?
It's definitely a way to do it.
Right, but couldn't you just keep that $6,000 and just pay it yourself that way?
You could do that too.
Instead of giving it to her and she pays it, you just keep it and
you could do that too.
Because I don't know. Sometimes if the payment's a little high, you want a little more deposit,
right?
And you can use some of that to cover it as you go. Right. So it's kind of a wash, isn't it?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. So the last thing that I want
whatever makes them happy, huh?
Yeah, pretty much. So now we went through the 3 steps, and now you're looking at the deal yourself. You're evaluating it, so you're going to evaluate it with money now, money monthly, money day.
Yeah.
These are things that cutting through all the chase, cutting through all the crap. When you do these things, income will happen. You'll replace your job. You'll fire your boss. Okay, but at the end of the show here, we need to talk about something very important. Okay, so the last thing I want to cover is the number one reason anyone listening to this show, coming to the meetups, sending the support tickets, whoever you are, the number one reason you're having trouble with your business or you can't out-create the current income that you have. It's a law. It's all in capital letters. It's a sentence. They did not locate enough prospects. The reason why you still do your guitar business is because you have not, and do not locate enough prospects.
Sure.
That's all it is.
No doubt. Well, and in any business, I went by, Jesus, what store was it? And they're closing. Like, geez, how do you, I've seen supermarkets close. Aren't people hungry?
Right.
But they didn't have enough people coming in, apparently.
So they don't have or haven't been able to locate enough prospects.
Yeah.
Right. Or you have not cranked up your buying machine. Right. You need people selling a house calling you. Otherwise, it won't work. You need people selling a house calling you. So if you want to leave your job and you want to replace your income, you got to figure out how to get people calling you. It's simple to me. FlippingHousesForRookies.com. Go to courses, attracting motivated sellers. I don't even know how much it is. How much is it, Emma? $100, $200? It's not much money. But it's what I do.
Yeah.
And you witness me because I ebb and flow. Right? Sometimes I'm buying a bunch of houses. Sometimes I'm not. Well, the reason why is I'll tell you the reason why. Is because I had a big business buying 7-8 houses a month. I've already been there, done that. My lifestyle is a little bit different now. I don't need that much. So I'll give you a classic example. Auto repair shop. You come in, there's a service advisor that talks to you and says, "Oh, Mr. Coca-Cola, what's the matter with your car today? When I take a right turn, it goes lump, 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 bang, bang, bang." You write it down. He gets all your information. He says, I'll have a technician look at it and call you back with a price. Right?
Yeah.
The car goes into the shop. The technician looks at the car, right? Says, "Oh, it needs a constant velocity joint." Right?
Yeah. That's what I was thinking.
He brings a ticket back up to the service advisor, right? And the service advisor gets prices on to replace the constant velocity joint. Right?
Sure.
And he calls you up and says, "Pete, it's going to be $328 and I'll have it done by 3 o'clock. And you say yay or nay.
Yeah.
That's the way it's supposed to be. Because there's enough people in the organization to do that.
Yeah.
The service writer gets off the phone. The first thing they do is they call the parts person and say, "Deliver the parts." And then they reschedule the car to come back in the shop to replace the constant velocity joint in an hour or two when the part's there or whenever. Okay. However, if it wasn't like that and you came into the shop and I was the only person there and I had to talk to you and do all of that, then I had to go bring your car in, right? And put your car on the lift and figure out what's the matter with it, and then do all those parts and pieces, right? Here's what happens. Here's my point. If you spend a couple days up front, you'll sell a bunch of work, and all the cars will pile up out in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Because you're not out back fixing the cars.
Yep.
Then when you go out back and you fix the cars, right?
Where's the new business coming now?
The new business isn't coming in, so you fix all those cars and you go, "Oops."
Yeah.
Booms and depressions.
Sure.
And that is exactly what happens to me in my business, and I let it happen. I know it's happening, and sometimes I think to myself, I want to fix it, and then I think, that's exactly what happens to me. Is I'll work on the marketing, I'll get a bunch of leads, I'll make up a bunch of phone calls, I'll buy houses, I'll buy 2, 3, 4, 5 houses. You've seen this.
Oh, I did
You
it too.
witnessed-
I spent the year out renovating 2 houses.
Right.
Whoopee!
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so you'll go work on the houses and then you break the front machine. So
Yeah.
all I'm saying is if you want consistent income, because I have other income, I have other things. So if you want consistent income, you need to fix that scenario I just gave you. You got to make sure you have enough leads coming in and you can handle them in the back end. So it's at least a 2 or 3 man show eventually. But in the beginning, you could do it to start with. You
Yeah,
can
I always
start
think
on
it's
your own.
best if you have a wife that you can work with, or a brother, or a really good friend like you and I. You know, we don't have trouble. We just work together. Batteries have 2 terminals for a reason. You know,
There's a positive and negative, so the energy can flow.
that's
Take
right.
away the negative, energy stops flowing.
Yep. So I always think it's good to start with 2 people, anyways, because if you don't do any work, he'll kick your ass, and he doesn't. You can kick his ass.
Right. So what I
Plain
have
English.
found exactly. So what I have found, right? I think we're at the end of the show. Yeah. Wow, my timing was good today. I thought we were going to go over, but we're not. So what I have found is this. Now we did a meetup last night. I think we had almost 30 people there, right? And we hear all kinds of stories,
Yep.
right? Live stories, people that are coming to the meetup. You cannot, capital letters, you cannot, you got it?
This
You
is N-O-T.
You can,
Not K-N-N-O-T.
You cannot,
Not.
C-A-N-N-O-T.
N-O-T.
You cannot out-create your current income with 1 or 2 prospects a month. It's just not going to work.
No.
You can't make what you heard Fatima last night on the hot seat.
Yeah.
She's been doing this for how long? She's made 5 offers.
Yeah.
You can't do that. You cannot replace your income with 1 or 2 prospects a month, or 1 or 2 prospects a week, for that matter.
Well, that's like going to work once a day, once a week, right?
Right.
The same thing.
Can't do it.
Nope.
So if you want to fire your boss, you got to figure out how to talk to enough sellers that you can get the numbers to work for you. It's just that simple. I've just completely evaluated and analyzed about 90% of the people listening to this podcast, what their problem is. And if they listen to this podcast and actually listen to this podcast, we're at an hour, and you actually listen to this podcast and listen to it again, what we're talking about hits home.
Yeah. You know what I'm taking away from it? Especially in those times when you don't have a lot of time. My schedule is tight with some of the things I'm doing. I have to really, really focus on the important things. And more than anything, get people to call you. You can sit there with 100 for sale by owners, or do some kind of marketing, Craigslist, a few signs. My signs are coming in today, Bill.
Yeah.
I stopped by the house on the way in. Damn it, not here. FedEx said between 8 and 2. 8:42 weren't there. But if you do some marketing without spending too much money, then you'll have some people calling you that might be more motivated than you chasing people.
Right.
So if you have limited time, be a little smarter. That's my tip with your marketing, and so you can get people to contact you. So the few minutes you have, the few
so
hours.
I'm glad you brought that up, because that's actually the next thing I want to talk about is the majority of the sellers calling you are going to be suspects. The minority will be prospects. So how do you get through all them suspects to find that prospect? Because you only need one
Yeah.
to say yes.
Yeah.
To buy a house like I bought, 2,500 square feet, 4 bedrooms, 2 baths. I spent $386 or whatever it was for the gas in the furnace, so to turn the heat on.
Yep.
And he makes the first 2 months. How did I do that? I talked to enough people to find that guy.
Yeah. And the lady,
That's it.
and the lady in Hamden got to go to New Jersey.
It's not magical. It's not because I've been doing it for 15 years. It's not because I've done hundreds of deals. It's not because I'm really good with my words and salesmanship and all that kind of stuff. No. All that stuff only matters to shorten the runway.
Right.
That's it.
You focus on the important stuff.
That's it. I shorten the runway and all that stuff. So instead of taking me a year to find that deal, I can do it in a month. Okay? Or instead of taking me 6 months, I could do it in 3 weeks. Okay? Whatever the math is. The point is you do not need to be me. You just got to go out there and do the things we talked about in this podcast. Do those things and concentrate on those things. Spend 1 or 2 hours a week talking to prospects. Right?
Yep.
Do the 3 or 4, find out what they're willing to sell for. Find out what the monthly payment is. Find out what, and then go. It's not hard. Will you make a mistake? Absolutely. That's what I'm banking on.
Why do you say that?
It's the only way you're going to learn.
Yeah.
You can listen to my podcast, pay me all kinds of money. At the end of the day, you are going to have to sit in somebody's house and do a presentation, which, by the way,
Yes.
if you haven't noticed, episode number 130 or 131, let me look. Episode number 131, we actually show you how to do a presentation in the house.
That's right. That was so cool. They got my juices flowing again.
Right. So I'm giving the house away for free. I mean, this is stuff that I charge coaching clients hundreds and hundreds of dollars to do.
Yeah, I've talked to so many of the people that come around that they have no idea, even the tone of voice, your attitude. Should you be like all professional and stiff and serious, or they have no idea what it should sound like. They're always flabbergasted when they hear you. It's like you're talking to them.
So
like,
conversational.
Yeah, like duh, and you're honest. Like, well, I could do this. No, I can't do that. Well, how about if I gave you this much? I could give you less for that if I give you more for that. Right. Let me think about it. Hang on a minute. Got a calculator?
Right.
And it's okay to do that.
Right.
It's not like you have to be some kind of machine. You're not. You're a person. They wouldn't believe it if you didn't act like a person.
Exactly.
You would be off.
The number one thing that I do when I'm in house is I build confidence. My offer's backed by confidence.
Yeah.
Just like money's backed by confidence,
yeah.
my offer's backed by confidence.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing that I do.
Yeah, don't fumble around. Just be calm about it. If you're not sure, tell them, I'm not sure, but I'll find out.
Right.
I don't know everything, but I have guys who, I have somebody who's a specialist, and I'll ask them, and I'll let you know.
Exactly. Excuse me. Get the phone flooding with calls. Then you'll find the rest of the business will just go a lot easier. Right?
You know why? Because your first step is find a motivated seller.
Right.
It's find.
Right.
It isn't create. It isn't convince somebody. It isn't twist somebody's arm. It isn't explain and explain and explain and explain. You just keep going. Trust me, when you find the guy, you'll know. You won't know what to say because he says yes to everything.
Right. All right. So
Find.
in final, let's close out.
Close.
Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the last exact hour and I'm going to completely simplify it for you. I'm going to tell you what to do and how to do it that will get you out of your job. I'm going to give you 2 things to do. 2 things to do. If you do these 2 things, remember how we were talking about the diet? How you want to lose 50 pounds?
Right.
I'm going to give you 2 goals that you should accomplish every single day. If you do these 2 things within a short period of time, you will fire your boss and get out of your job.
Okay.
Okay? How's that for a promise?
I like it.
Okay. The best thing that could take you away, that you could take away from this podcast is this at the end. Spend 1 hour a day on your marketing and 1 hour a day talking to sellers. Now, if you don't have the luxury of an hour a day, do a half an hour. I don't suggest it. And if you don't have prospects to talk to, then work on your marketing. And I don't mean for months. That's for a week. Okay? And soon you'll find your destiny is going to be closer and closer where you can fire your boss and create your own future. Spend an hour a day working on your marketing, like how you're going to do it. And by the way, nowadays, I mean, it used to be we sent out yellow letters and signs and Craigslist and all these different things. And you can find out about all this stuff by attracting motivated sellers. Just go to flippinghousesforrookies.com and go to courses on the top or just scroll down. You'll find it there. Attracting motivated sellers will show you how to do all that. I don't have to train you how to do that on the podcast. Spend an hour a day doing your marketing. An hour a day talking to sellers. Now, what happens if you don't have any sellers to talk to? Well, then pick up the phone, get the FSBO script at flippinghousesforrookies.com/free stuff. Get the for sale by owner script and just call some for sale by owners. And
They're there.
And Fatima gave us last night. I mean, every time I hear this, it's like if you talk to how many? 5 people, you'll have somebody to go talk to in a house.
Yeah.
If you do the script right.
Yeah.
If you're not, if you're more than 10, if you're talking to more than 10 people and not getting some sort of an appointment or somebody interested, you're doing the script wrong. You need to look at what you're doing wrong or what you don't understand or what you're injecting in on the phone call that you shouldn't be injecting.
Right.
that's not on the script.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
So spend an hour a day on your marketing and an hour a day talking to sellers. And I promise you, with a money back guarantee, doubled, that within a certain amount of time, definitely within the 30 days, you will have a deal. You'll be sending me a support ticket saying, what do I do with this?
Mm. Like George last night.
Yep. He had 3 deals.
Mm.
He's a wholesaler, flipper,
Mm-hmm.
doing business and coming to the meetups because he realized he's throwing money out. Money's leaking all around him. It's leaking right through him
Oh, really?
because he's like not doing these deals. He had some lady, he told me last night, one of his deals, what did he say? She want to sell for $370. House is worth like $330 or $340, $350 on a push. And she was stuck on her price, doesn't want to use a realtor and willing to do terms with him.
Huh.
Willing to do a lease option with him. Point blank said, I'll lease the house to you.
Huh.
And he wanted to know what to do with it. And he's a flipper, doesn't know what to do.
Sure.
That's a monster deal right there.
I liked when the realtor or two in the room's like, well, you can't buy that house.
Right.
Not the way you do.
Right.
And then when you did the deal structuring, he just put his head on the table.
Yeah. Yeah, he was
He
was
did.
like, you got me.
You got me. But he was happy, though, because it was a solution for him, too. Like, a loss became a win.
Right.
Can't do that. Can do that.
Right.
Cool. Whew. The end.
We did it. So let me just read the description again, and we're out of here. What people with jobs should know about real estate investing. I think we more than covered that. What do you think?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
One of your top goals to working should be to get the highest possible return on your investment of mental, emotional, and physical energy, and this only matters if you have crystal clear ideas on what you expect the outcome to be. We did that today. We gave him crystal clear ideas on what to pay attention to, right?
Yep.
Then priorities of what you do become valueless or more valuable after each day, week, or month. We did that. Soon, you will feel your job is like a low-value task because it causes you to be less and less happy about your activities. If you do an hour a day, that will happen. I promise.
Mm-hmm.
Once you hit this point of can't take it anymore, you will soon stop procrastinating at what you really need to do and figure out how to replace your current income with better and more reliable source of income. And in this podcast, we're going to talk about how to do that. And that's exactly what we did.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So
Good job. Good job, Bill.
Thank you. Over and out. Talk to you next week.
Welcome to the hottest real estate topics on the planet, keeping you up to date with all the creative ways to buy and sell real estate without bank qualifying, so anyone can build real income starting today. Here is another great show with Dealmaker Bill and Pete the Rookie.